Hello there. MPs have voted to put an end to Boris Johnson's political career. Talk about a total stitch-up. Surely even Boris Johnson's haters can see the injustice here. No, it won't bother them, but it should. MPs in the House of Commons, including the Tories, have collectively voted to hand unprecedented powers to the Privileges Committee to effectively terminate Boris Johnson's time as an MP. What they did was allow a Labour motion to refer the Prime Minister to the Privileges Committee to go through unopposed. Big mistake, because the motion called on the committee to investigate if Boris had misled the House, when it would be normal to ask the committee to investigate if he had intentionally misled the House. So if Boris Johnson was himself misled by another, but passed that on to the House, then he is guilty as charged under this motion. The committee can then ban him from the House for 10 working days, or 14 calendar days if the House is not sitting, and so trigger a recall petition. If 10% of his Uxbridge and South Ruislip constituents sign the petition, that triggers a by-election. And the committee has seized upon this opportunity, and the Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, has concurred. When Labour put forward that motion, either the whole Tory party was asleep at the wheel, or... Anyway, it's reported that Tory MPs like Bill Cash and Ian Duncan Smith are signing a motion to get all this rescinded. Now, if this is allowed to go ahead, then surely every single MP going forwards should be held to those same standards that they are holding Boris Johnson up to at all times in the House. Because the singling out of one MP for this treatment must surely be unconstitutional. And just because he's the Prime Minister does not change that. Scenario: the Prime Minister wants to get a message across to the House, so he tells another minister or MP to put it out there. And when questioned on it, he says, "I refer you to what the minister said," so avoiding the rule. That's why they must all be held to the exact same standards. Now, if they do hound one MP in this way, then the electorate has the right to demand that all MPs be held to that exact same standard. If the House can vote for one MP to be subjected to these higher standards, then it can vote for all MPs to be expected to observe those higher standards. After all, how can they demand others meet a higher standard than they themselves are willing to be subjected to? As MPs, are they not all equally bound in the House of Commons? Or is it all just subjective claptrap, depending on how you feel about someone on any given day? And that's exactly what this looks like to me. Hatred of one MP has clouded the judgment of all concerned, to the point that normal precedent has been turfed out the door. But that normal precedent will no doubt return once a Boris exit has been achieved. And that cannot be right. Do unto others, etc., or be a hypocrite. But wouldn't it be nice to see higher standards in the House of Commons? Let's drive towards 100% transparent accuracy by all MPs, and if they mislead the House in any way, a recall petition should be triggered. Let's use this treatment of Boris as the template for the behaviour of MPs. And there are many ways to mislead the House. Deliberately mislead the House either by lying or making the decision to omit saying something. Remember, there is such a thing as lying by omission. Or inadvertently mislead the House by saying something you believe to be true, but it isn't. Or failing to say something, even if you didn't know you should have said it. How about selectively quoting from reports that puts the statement out of context? Or misleadingly using one official statistic that is out of kilter with the totality of other statistics? The list is probably endless. But surely voters and taxpayers have the right to expect that everything uttered in the House is always 100% true and accurate and 100% in context. I'm tempted to start a petition on the Gov website along the lines of, We, the public, demand that within the House of Commons all MPs be held to exactly the same standards as those that MPs have instructed the Privileges Committee to hold Boris Johnson, the MP for Uxbridge and South Ruislip, up to. But MPs are not going to allow that, are they? Unless they're forced to relent in the face of such a petition and use the time-honoured standards instead, of course. But I'm sure someone will already have started this process. But a much more direct way to get this across to Parliament would be for an MP to get a motion going to actually change the rules in Parliament, as I outlined above. That would get straight to the nub of it and really set the hairs running. Because MPs would look very self-serving were they to vote against such a motion after defenestrating Boris on that basis, wouldn't they? No, they are more likely to put pressure on the Privileges Committee and the Speaker to back down.